Hi there, this is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Friend, written by Joakim Zander. This is a great political thriller. It's got great slow burn moments which build up to suspense, but also great action scenes which just amp up everything in this book. The tension, the suspense, the thrills. This book is such a great thriller. If you've not read this yet, I highly recommend it. I think this author is a great author, and I'm going to try to find more of his books. Let's talk more about the book now. At the start of this book, we meet Jacob. He's an intern at a Swedish embassy in Beirut. So it's his first internship. He's also at university or college, and he's going there for a few months. He's very cocky. He thinks that he's going to be a star there. He's kind of lied about his skills in speaking Arabic to get the job. So when he lands in Beirut, he's lost. He doesn't really understand the language at all. But he doesn't lose that cockiness at the start. At the very start, he's so cocky. He's so sure of himself. Later on, as the book goes on, that's just slapped out of him. He loses all his confidence. He's like a little fish in a huge pond. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know really much about the country he's in even. He just doesn't know how to cope in Beirut. That's what comes across like in this book. On his first night there, there's a party in his building where he's living while he's doing his internship. It's on the rooftop. And while there, he meets a mysterious guy. A mysterious local, and is infatuated with this stranger almost immediately. This mysterious stranger tells him his name's Joakim. They sneak off together from the party into a garden somewhere, a private garden, and mostly they sit there and talk. There's a bit of sexual attraction, so a bit of physical things happen during that scene, not too much, but mostly they talk. But during that talk, they get to know each other very well, become very close friends, very good friends. And Joakim says that he has to fly out the next day. We find out that Joakim is a photographer. He's in and out of the country quite a lot, sometimes for weeks at a time. And all the time that he's away, Jacob just obsesses about him. He's infatuated with him. And he can't get Joakim out of his mind. It's affecting his work, it affects his life, but it affects almost every part of his life later on in this plot as well. Not long after he meets Joakim, he's approached by a strange lady who says she's from the Swedish intelligence service. She says that Joakim is a terrorist. Is he or not? We're never sure, and neither is Jacob. And that's one of the great things about this plot, is we're never sure about the characters. Who's lying, who's not, who can we trust? We're never sure about anybody in this book, because it seems that everybody has got a game to play. Everybody's got a motive. Jacob, we can be pretty sure what we know about him is true, because he's just so naive as a character in this book. He hasn't got a lot to hide really. But the other characters around him, Jacob doesn't know who to trust, and neither do we as the reader. There's another great storyline in this book as well, in Europe. So we have a storyline in Europe and a storyline in Beirut running in parallel until about 2/3 of the way through the book. Then they merge. In the Europe storyline, we follow Clara. And in the book, well, prior to this book, Clara was a whistleblower. And she embarrassed the Swedish Secret Service by blowing the whistle on a corrupt scheme that was going on. That happened about 12 months or so before the events in this book. But the character Clara is still kind of reeling from the after effects of that. She doesn't know who to trust. She's very paranoid. She thinks she's got a lot of people out to get her. And she's right to think that, because she's had people threaten her since she blew the whistle on what was going on. So we follow Clara from when she's at her grandfather's funeral. We follow her through parts of Europe, close to home. And we see that somebody could be following her. We're never sure, because there could be a car behind her. Then it vanishes. There's noises she hears. But is somebody there or not? We're never sure, and that just heightens up that tension, that suspense. And these are great slow burn moments in this novel. She's with her friend Gabriella, who's a lawyer, and she's dropping Gabriella off at her law firm. And as Gabriella enters the building, all these SWAT arrive. They arrest Gabriella and whisk her away. Clara is trying to find out what's going on, and then she gets a sense that they may arrest her as well. So she just hightails it out of there and escapes. And from then on, she's got people after her from the police. They're trying to catch her as well. She's so paranoid, she doesn't know what's going on, who's out to get her, because it also seems there's Russian people out to get her as well, Russian agents. And what are they doing in this picture? How are they involved? There's all these different elements going on in this story. All these different people from different countries, different motives, and different suspicions about them. Our two main characters, Clara and Jacob, are still quite naive characters, both of them. They're thrown into this mix, and they're just trying to survive. They're trying to escape whatever's coming their way. And that's just the whole suspense about this book, is about these two young people who are thrust into this whole political landscape. Everything's so sinister. There's so much suspicion. There's so much mistrust. There are so many different actors in this story. And these two people are just trying to get away with their lives. The overall plot of this book is so well structured. It's also very well written. The author's done an amazing job in crafting just amazing characters, really believable characters in believable situations. Okay, so this thriller is a bit over the top in its whole scope. A lot of thrillers are, because we've got to be drawn into the story. If it's not slightly over the top, we're not going to be drawn in so much. I don't think we will anyway. But this author's done such a great job in writing it, and with the characters and the plot. It's all believable, all flows so well. I think it is quite an amazing book. Almost every character in this book is so well written. The author's constructed just a whole cast of characters that are very believable. They've got a lot of depth, so much light and shade as well in the characters. So I'm going to focus on three, and the three I think are the main characters in this book. They're the characters we see the most of, that I think the story is built around. The first is Jacob. So he is the intern student, as I mentioned before, and he's in an embassy in Beirut. He's so far out of his depth, and his character growth is very interesting because it goes from a character that's very sure of himself, very cocky, to this character that's very paranoid, no confidence, scared all the time, not sure who to trust, almost going out of his mind in a way. And that's an interesting shift in character growth, because a lot of character growth is positive in books, but this character is going through a minefield basically, and his confidence, his whole mindset is becoming from stable to unstable and paranoid. And I thought that was an interesting way to develop this character, but it's done in such a way that it's so believable. I believed everything about Jacob. Everything he felt and saw felt so real. And just the fact that he's so confused a lot of the time, he's not sure what's going on, and you really feel that in the book, you sense that. And it's a great skill to make the reader feel that. That's my impression anyway. Carla is another great character. Her anxiety, her paranoia comes through so clearly. It's so well defined, and we really feel it. You really empathise with what she's going through, because she's trying to do the right thing in the past before this book, and it's coming back a bit to bite her. And she has all these people coming after her in the book, and she's really not sure why, and she doesn't know who she can trust. But she manages. She finds this strength in herself and this confidence, and she does get by and becomes a very strong character. And I think when the two storylines merge, she's the strong character and support for the other characters in the book. And she comes across as very clever and resourceful, even though she's thrown into situations just so unbelievably difficult for her to get through. They're so challenging. She seems to be able to cope with them and adapt. And the author creates this character that feels like a superhero, but she's really not. She's an ordinary person that's just struggling to get by, and sometimes she fumbles, sometimes she gets it wrong, but she always manages to get out on top. And that's just because of her perseverance, I think, as a character, more than anything else. Yasim, who's the mysterious stranger that Jacob meets, and the photographer. He's such an interesting character and well developed because you're never sure about him. Is he a terrorist or not? Is he a bad guy or not? What's the truth about Yasim? And the book does such a great job in not giving us the truth, making us guess, making us assume either way. And I was flipping between him being a bad guy and not. So many times through this book, I was never sure until the truth was revealed. And it is revealed in the book. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's such a clever plot device this author's used, such clever writing to make the reader keep guessing. This character really stands out, really special way of presenting this character to us. The Friend is an almost perfect book. I really enjoyed everything about it. The characters, the writing, the plot, the whole story was so good. Some parts are over the top, of course they are, but it's all believable. You just feel like it's really happening. I rate this a 4.5 out of 5. There was just little bits here and there that dropped it down that 0.5. I really wanted to rate it a 5 out of 5, a perfect read. I just couldn't. But it's almost near perfect. And I'm so looking forward to reading more from this author, because I just think everything this author touches will be this good. Well, I hope they will be anyway. On my channel, I do review a lot of thrillers. If you don't want to miss out on any of those books, check out my channel and subscribe. There's also a thriller playlist on my channel. It should be on your screen now.